Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Folks, this is it. This is the final Indiana Fever regular season post-game video. It's kind of a weird one, but hey, I still have thoughts that hopefully you want to hear. If you've been here before, thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you're new, I hope you enjoy it. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really, really does help out a lot. Going into this game, and here's why I say it's kind of a weird one to do, because going into this game, win or lose, nothing was going to change for the Indiana Fever. They locked up the 6th seed. That's what they were going to be no matter what. They're going to play the 3rd seed. Now, the 3rd seed was still going to be determined. By the way, it is the Connecticut Sun. They will be playing Connecticut, but we didn't know that for sure. And the Mystics had a shot at the playoffs. They needed to win and have Atlanta lose. Unfortunately for them, they did their job, but Atlanta won. So the Atlanta Dream will be in the playoffs. Did I say the Atlanta Mystics? I don't think so. But anyway, Atlanta Dream is in. The Mystics are out. But playing this game, it meant nothing to the Fever in terms of the win or the loss, but it was important for the Mystics. So that always becomes tricky. I think most players, when playing, at least speaking for me and players that I know at any level, it was if you're a real competitor, you want to win a game no matter what the game is. So when you're in, you're going to play to win. And look, I know with what happened with Kelsey Mitchell, and I don't have any other follow up other than it doesn't seem to be serious, and she's going to play in the playoffs. I don't have confirmation. We don't know what it's if it's a sprain. You always kind of have to wait till the next day to really see how it is and test it out, and did it swell up overnight and all those things. But as far as I know, she's going to be able to play and go, and it happened real early. I mean, it happened. I think she played 5 minutes. So I'm not going to fault Christy Sides, as easy as that is to do for a lot of things. I'm not going to fault Christy Sides with the injury to Kelsey Mitchell or playing her starters. I think the starters had to play. I don't have anything critical to say about them playing. They basically all played half a game. I think Melissa played 18, and I think Aaliyah and Caitlin played 20, and Lexi played 21. So that's fine. I mean, maybe they could have played a few more, but I think basically half a game is absolutely fine. So I have no problem with the number of minutes. I am concerned with how they played. Yes, even the starters, especially defensively, because you saw a lot of the same problems they've had all year that you're not going to get away with against better teams, which is what we saw as they struggled a bit at the end of the season. What we saw with playing the Las Vegas Aces. With the minutes thing, I will say I think Saxon and Berger should have played a little more. I think Grace ended up getting 12 minutes. I would have been nice to see a few more. I mean, Saxon only played like 5. And of course, look, we can't judge them totally on this situation alone. Obviously, it's kind of one of those weird games. But again, the Mystics did need to win. They had a big lead, so even if they didn't need to win, you don't want to blow that lead to go into the off season with that bad taste in your mouth. But I saw enough of Berger and Saxton in competitive play that it bothers me, again, even more than I've said all season, bothers me that they did not get chances or limited minutes during the season and get that experience and that development. I think the team would be much, much better off because, as I've said, I know many of you have mentioned in the comments repeatedly, this team is a concern because it has no depth. So, for example, what if Mitchell really is hurt? What if Mitchell can't play? Who is prepared to step into that role? Some might say, oh, well, you move Clark to the 2 and then Wheeler's your starting point guard. Okay. So now who's backing them up? Right? Now, it could have been Grace Berger if she had gotten an opportunity early in the season. By the way, it also could be Celeste Taylor. I liked what I saw from Berger defensively, by the way. I like the ball movement with her. We know what Celeste Taylor can do now, a little bit at least, because she's gotten opportunities elsewhere. Had an amazing game for the Mercury the other night. So if Berger had gotten minutes earlier, if they had kept Taylor, and I know I'm going back to this is a Christy Sides issue, this team would be in a better position now. I know that doesn't have anything to do with tonight's game, but seeing Berger and even Saxton play out there a little bit just brings that back to me as to how much better this team could be. And I'm not even saying they'd have more wins or be a higher seed, but man, having depth matters, and this team does not have depth right now. Or I should say, we don't really, they don't have the depth they should have because I think some players that could give that depth did not get the minutes they should have gotten from Christy Sides this season in order to be prepared to step into those roles. So look, they're going to get the Connecticut Sun. By the way, Caitlin Clark passed Diana Taurasi for the second most threes made in a season. Huge shout out to Wallace, Berger, Saxton, Katie Lou. I guess I'll say Temmie. I mean, Temmie's more of a regular player. I guess Katie Lou has a little bit too. But shout out to them for that comeback. I feel awful for Grace Berger at the end of that game. Great job grabbing that offensive rebound. Great job being able in that time to get to a place to take a good shot, and then it just fallen short. I mean, it was on target, but it was just a little bit short. But she did a great job of getting a decent look. That would have been an amazing way to end the season if that could have fallen. Really kind of disappointed for her that it didn't. So, look, especially the first half, by the way, and they were down, 52-45 at halftime. In the first half, Smith and Boston each played 13 of the 20 minutes. I mean, it wasn't much less than they would normally do. And Clark and Hull both played 15, which equates to 30 minutes. And yet they were still down 52-45. My point being, you can't throw this all on, the starters played less, because the starters had a lot of issues. But let's look at some of this stuff before we get into some of the concerning things. Again, I can't. It's so weird. They started off so well. It was at 11-0 and 18-4, I believe, and then the Mystics went on like a 22-6 run. But Kelsey, to show you how odd it is, right? Kelsey Mitchell played 5 minutes. She was 2 for 2, and she was a plus 16 because the way they started out. I mean, it was 11-0 and then 18-4. Was it even maybe 18-2 at one point? Is that, but something like that. But yeah, Kelsey Mitchell was plus 16 and only in her 5 minutes. But check this out. Here's the other really weird one. Grace Berger played 12 minutes and she was plus 15. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Saxton was plus 8 in her 5 minutes because they had that run at the end, that fourth quarter. Outscored Washington 25-10. But again, these starters, look, Smith 20, Boston 18, Hull 21, Clark 20. So they basically played half a game. They all played about half of the third quarter. So this 22-30-30, that's concerning because you had a lot of starters in for that. It was the subs who only gave up 10. And by the way, that also that starter sub thing. In the first half, the Mystics were 19-38. They were 8 for 20 from 3. And their subs, were took 18 of the 38 shots. The subs were 10 of 18 and 3 of 7 from 3. So you can look at it as it's the final game of the season and it doesn't necessarily matter for the playoffs. But you can't look at it as playing all the subs is the reason they lost. Because this was not a great game. This was not a great game from the starters either, unfortunately. It was way too easy for the Mystics to get looks from 3 from good shooters getting looks from 3. Again, 8 for 20 in the first half alone. I think they were second in the league in three-pointers made given up at 9, and three-pointers shot. I think they were at somewhere between 25 and 26. I think the team that was last that gave up the most shots gave up like 26 plus, and they gave up 8 out of 20 in the first half alone. Let's see how that translated for the game. 12 of 34. That's insane. Now, obviously they didn't shoot as many in the second half. 4 of 14. Still, 35.3% for the game, 12 of 34 from three. That is not acceptable defensively. Not acceptable defensively. It was way too easy to get threes for the Mystics, and they got a lot of easy layups as well. Just quick side note, because it popped into my head. I don't know if y'all saw them. Because I think you could watch this on League Pass or Amazon, but those Snapchat ads were creepy, my friends. Those Snapchat ads were creepy. Just saying. But I mean, there was still some nice stuff early. One thing also, by the way, with the subs that I thought was a struggle initially. Again, it goes back to size, and she doesn't have a half court offense set. Well, guess what? When you don't have both Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, when they're both off the court, then what do you do in the half court? Because so much of it relied on Clark and Mitchell skill set and creativity to make something happen. So when neither one of them's on the court and you don't have a good half court set, what is it you're doing exactly? What is it you're doing exactly? But by the way, just as an example, and I forget who it was now that made it specifically, but they did this a number of times. But there was in the first half a shooter for Washington, 40% from three, a 40% 3-point shooter, and on the pick they played drop coverage, just left her wide open to shoot. You don't leave a 40% 3-point shooter wide open to shoot a three without any pressure at all. Way too many easy threes, both starters and subs, although I think the subs actually defended it better. Another concern, I'm sorry, there aren't a lot of highlights for you, Shaw. I'll show you guys a couple things. I know this is kind of a static screen night. I apologize for that, but I did want to put this out there anyway and give you some of the thoughts on the games. The last number of games, handful of games, by the way, they've only won one of their last four. There's no Lexi Hull in the offense. She's the best 3-point shooter in the league, yet there is no Lexi Hull in the offense. But the Mystics 3-point shooters can get wide open threes anytime they want. Basically, anybody can get wide open threes anytime they want against the Indiana Fever. I slowed up because my brain just hit me. I wanted to make sure what I was thinking was true. Marina Mabrey, of course, now no longer with Chicago Sky, but with the Connecticut Sun, which gives them a completely different look because they didn't really have 3-point shooters. So that's going to be an issue defensively. I'm going to give you a positive and negative from Clark. One thing I want to talk about positively, and I think it was on her. Let me see if I think I might actually have it.
But she was right there in front.
Why won't that pause when I want it to pause? I think this is it. Let's see. This is her first three. Obviously, early in the game, it's already 8-0. This makes it 11. But see, yeah, you can see she's so good. Let me see if I can show this a little more slow motion, and you can see because she's going left. See that right there, and this is what makes Caitlin Clark so good, that makes her dribbling and fakes that much better, is she's and I will say part of this, I believe, has to do with her being a soccer player up into high school as well, because this is really important in soccer. It's really important for wide receivers in football as well. She's very good at reading the defender and then timing what she does. In other words, she got that defender to, okay, Caitlin's going left. Now that defender recognizing is like, okay, I've got to be a little harder with my slide that direction. As soon as that happens with the defender, you get her unbalanced. Caitlin pulls back the other way. She could have pulled back and gone right, but she pulls back and she just pulls back up. Now she's got an open three really without without any pressure. She shot that from Maryland. But that is a fantastic part of her game that I don't think is talked about enough, is her ability to set up and read defenders. Same type of thing great 1v1 soccer players do with their moves and their dribbling ability. It's not just about changing direction and going left and right. It's about doing it at the right time, getting a defender to lean one way, thinking you're going that way, and timing your change so that they are unbalanced. They are leaning a little too hard the other way. That's fantastic. And now I'm going to throw out something that really, really irked me this game, because it goes back to what I've said, where I've defended her all year with the turnovers, but I said the turnovers that bother me a little bit are the sloppy stuff where I think she just gets unfocused mentally. That's where, you see her get her pocket picked at times and things like that. And you saw that tonight in the first half, and it really, really bothered me. As you know, you see plenty of times when there's no pressure at all and you see the inbounds pass, and instead of, they don't, when the player's 15, 20, 25 feet away, they don't rifle it to you. They put it out there, and it may bounce 3-4 times before it gets to you. And Temi threw that type of pass, and there was nothing wrong with it. But Caitlin lost her focus, and she waited and waited and waited to the point where the ball was almost rolling, wasn't paying attention. A Mystics player reacted to that, came back over from the defensive end of the court, came up, got to the ball before Caitlin did, because Caitlin had no idea what was coming, and then gets a layup out of it. And by the way, they lost by a point. I was just going to say, you can't do that against good teams, especially in the playoffs. And I just realized that that's the deciding bucket in this game. And no, I'm not blaming Caitlin for the losses, but it just hit me. They lost by one. But yeah, those are the little lapses that she has to clean up. She has to clean up. Look, I mean, 82 points. I don't care who's playing. And again, the starters played what I say was 4 of the 5 starters, 18, 20, 20, and 21 of those 30 minutes in the first 3 quarters, right? So you're talking about 2/3 of the minutes played by the starters, and they give up 82 points. Right? Was it 22? Get out of the way, man. There it is. 22, 30, 30. That's crazy. And then the defenders came in the fourth quarter and they clamped down and only gave up 10. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing shade at the starters. I just think it was great. Like, it doesn't change anything, obviously, but I just thought it was great to see the subs start to connect and play well. I thought this game was going to end in a blowout score. It's a shame they didn't get the win, but it was nice to see them do what they did in that fourth quarter and play well. I mean, Christy Wallace had 17 points, folks, and 4 rebounds. She was 6 of 8, 3 of 4 from 3 in 25 minutes. That's crazy. That is crazy. Katie Lou nailed 2 of 3 from 3, had 10 points in 20 minutes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. I mean, that's good stuff. And then even Saxton again. Saxton had 5 points in 5 minutes. She was 2 of 3. She was 1 of 1 for 3. She grabbed a couple of boards, was +8 in those 5 minutes. That's awesome. That is awesome. I think I'm going to show you this because I believe this was the one that passed DT, Diana Taurasi. Reality is coming. I believe this is the 3 that, this is the 3 that gave her the second most threes in a WNBA season. Great ball movement. Now, see, there was great ball movement there. I mean, that was fantastic ball movement right there by all of them. That was actually really well done. It's 18-2. You think, okay, it's going to be a laugher. Not so much. But that got Caitlin the second most 3-point field goals in the game. And then I had just one other. There just wasn't a whole lot of stuff coming out of this one. But the other thing that was really good is Caitlin did have a handful of really nice passes. Melissa Smith played well, by the way, in her 18 minutes, well around the basket. I don't want to see her shoot from any further than 10, 12 feet. That stuff's got to go. But she was good around the basket tonight. And this pass, boop, yep, and a good solid finish. So that was nice as well. Look, they have the Connecticut Sun coming, folks. By the way, I heard that the Aces, now I don't think they actually said that they'd rather face the Storm, but they rested their starters, I believe, and got smoked. So they play Seattle. You got the Liberty and the Dream, Aces in Seattle, Minnesota and Phoenix, and the Sun and the Fever. And if the Sun can win, they're most likely going to get the Lynx. So that'll be interesting. But I talked a little bit more. Oof, my voice just broke. I talk a little bit more about this game than I thought I would. But yeah, I mean, look, without an offensive system, the team's in disarray without Clark and Mitchell on the court. That's clear. The fact that Saxton and Berger didn't play all season, basically, that's disturbing. Um, by the way, coverage, WNBA, I didn't need an extended interview with two football coaches I really couldn't care less about while I'm trying to watch a basketball game. But yeah, I feel great for the comeback that the Subs had. I feel awful for Berger that she didn't make that shot. I'm annoyed as can be at sides that Berger and Saxton didn't play. And look, Wallace. Now look, I was tough on her. I thought everything about it was ridiculous. I'm not changing my tune, but I think sort of unfairly to her is Wallace was put in a position that she's not good at, in that I could see her getting a few more minutes than she's been getting since the break. She does have the skill enough to be a certain type of role player that could play, 8, 10, 12 minutes in a game. But Sides went from the extreme of starting her, making her like the first option offensively, and putting her on the other team's best offensive player to not playing her at all. But yeah, anyway. But I'll try this weekend to do a sort of a, I guess, a year in review type of Fever video, not too long, but and kind of talk about the upcoming series with the Sun and how that might go. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Does this game even matter to you at all? I mean, I'm always being analytical about everything, so I had thoughts. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What you think about their possibility of their chances against the Sun and all that great stuff. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you later.